Welcome to One-on-One. I'm Steve Adubato. We are back with our good friend, or she is back with us, Michele Siekerka, President and Chief Executive Officer of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. Good to have you back with us.
Thanks, Steve.
We're doing this in early summer 2016, so I'll be seeing for a while. I want to make sure we cover some ground on important issues. What would you say the number one business issue is in the state right now?
Well, I call it the legislative trifecta, so it's three that makes one, sorry, because each one of them is significantly important.
Go.
Constitutional amendment to fund the pension as a super priority over every other need in the state of New Jersey.
Pensions.
The public employee pension, yeah. Unfortunately, I think we're going to see that on the ballot in November. That is not good for New Jersey's economy.
Why?
Well,
we'll go to the other two in a second, but why?
Absolutely. It is going to have a devastating impact on the economy because there's only two ways we are going to be able to ensure that we can cover a $3.5 billion additional cost to our operating budget. Number one, we're either going to cut programs, which we don't do in the state of New Jersey, and we're challenged right now in our budget cycle to do that, right? Number two, it means we raise revenue. When we raise revenue, that means, number one, we go to the business community to do it. Corporate business tax, millionaire's tax, which is not a millionaire's tax, it's a tax on small business, S-corps. And then that's not enough. That only raises about $1 billion if we're lucky. So then we have to go to the consumer, increased taxes on our goods and services. At the end, increased income tax. Everyone's going to pay for this one.
But devil's advocate, Michele, what do you say to those who argue that historically the state has not kept up the commitments that it made to pay into the public employee pension fund, and the only way to guarantee that the state does what it's supposed to do is to guarantee it in the Constitution?
Well, I say I agree that we have an obligation and that we all own the obligation. We absolutely do.
And Democratic and Republican governors have failed for years.
Absolutely.
This governor has done more than virtually all the others together in the last many years, but we're way behind.
Yeah, but the problem is the taxpayers have already paid. They've done their share as well, Steve. It's our policymakers that haven't been fair in this process. And as you said, for decades, Republicans, Democrats aside, okay, we need to fund that obligation. However, doing it through a constitutional amendment, making it a super priority over public safety, health, welfare, education, that's not the answer. Wrong answer to the problem.
The other two.
So second, $15 minimum wage.
What's wrong with that?
So, you know, it sounds good.
It's an expensive state.
Well-intentioned. However, okay, $15 minimum wage means that we are going to artificially inflate the value of a market rate job. Entry-level position is meant to be just that, an entry point to your career. You start there, workforce development steps in, you build up your skills, you get more education, you stay on the job, and you rise the ladder, okay? When you artificially inflate the entry-level position, an $8.38 job today, when you artificially inflate that by 80%, you reset every single position in the state of New Jersey.
How?
How? So let's talk about when you take the person at the counter who's making $8.38, right? Now you take the legal secretary in the law firm who's been there for 5 years, making $15 an hour. She says, time out. My 19-year-old who's working at the Burger King is getting $15 an hour to take orders. I'm handling important legal documents. Okay, I want my 80% increase as well. So you have to reset the value of every single position with that.
What's that do to business?
Well, it has a significant impact on business because it's the same balance sheet, just like we talked about with the pension a minute ago. The only way you make up an increased cost of doing business is one of two ways. One, you cut expenses. That means you cut jobs or you cut hours, or you cut benefits, okay? Number two, or you raise the price of your product and service. And that's no good for the consumer because now that burger is going to go up as well.
Real quick before I let you go on this, a whole range of folks who support the $15 an hour minimum wage have said that many in the business community had argued that they made the same argument every time, and it hasn't held true, you say.
Well, what I say is we weren't talking about an 80% increase. And even though it's going to be phased in over 5 years.
I thought it was $10 first and then moving up.
Sure.
15 over time.
Yeah, absolutely. But over 5 years to go that significant, every year that is more of an increase than we have had before. Number one. Number two, we already did this just 2.5 years ago. Okay, we're only 2 years into rebounding from an increase. Now,
the minimum wage.
You know, now I would suggest, okay, you know what, the sky didn't fall on this last round, but guess what? Our policymakers then didn't get it right either. So why don't we all go back on a blank piece of paper and say, what do we really need to do? But we're not invited to that discussion. We're not invited to the discussion of what should the wage be? How do you consider how benefits play into that? Many of the positions between $8.38 and $15 offer benefits, which means that those aren't really positions that are valued at that minimum wage. They're valued at something higher because of the value of those benefits attached to it.
What's the third piece?
Third piece, paid sick leave. Again, now we've been successful fending off paid sick leave thus far.
Explain to folks what that is. So say someone is sick. The state would mandate that the employer pay for that person while he or she was sick, pay for their time.
Again, sounds good, well-intentioned.
It does.
Absolutely.
You don't want people who are sick
No.
coming to work.
I absolutely
because they
do
feel like
not.
they're not going to get paid.
No, correct, absolutely. However, first of all, New Jersey businesses today, 70% provide some form of paid sick leave, 90%
Voluntarily.
90% provide some type of paid time off, which is that more flexible policy. So if you're healthy in a year, then you get to take more vacation time, okay? But the important aspect of this is government wants to put everybody in a box. They want to treat everybody the same on how you give this particular benefit to your employees. Think about this, Steve. The corner pizzeria, the 1,000-employee call center, the largest utility in the state of New Jersey. 3 very different types of employment. How do you tell them all in the same way, give this benefit in the same manner? It doesn't work. You know, we need to allow employers to work directly with their employees on how things work for their particular place of employment. They know best. They deal with their employees every day.
So you're saying government shouldn't mandate this?
Government shouldn't step into this relationship. Okay? If government wants to incentivize good behavior for people to do more, government shouldn't be stepping in, though, and telling businesses how to do this. And businesses that are already doing it should be given credit for what they're doing and not being told, you change your business model because we told you have to do it this way. Their business model is working just fine right now.
Before I let you out of here, by the way, we have a collaboration, a relationship with the BIA, Business Industry Association, a cross-promotional relationship. I've done a lot of seminars, unpaid seminars, just to be clear, but a lot of for your folks, leadership, communication, et cetera, et cetera. I just want to be clear on something so folks knows what BIA, they know what BIA is. Go ahead.
Yes. Sure. New Jersey Business and Industry Association, we represent 20,000 businesses across the state of New Jersey. That comprises 1.2 million jobs in the state of New Jersey.
And you also have a publication called?
New Jersey Business.
It's a terrific publication. Also, check it out online as well. Michele Siekerka is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. Check out their site, find out what they're thinking, but also, more importantly, find out about these issues and decide for yourself where you stand. Thanks so much, Michele.
Thanks so much, Steve.
We'll be right back, right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Investors Bank, the New Jersey Education Association, Verizon,
Qualcare Inc.,
Johnson & Johnson,
ShopRite Supermarkets, and by the New Jersey Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor.
Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.